Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. So, two things to note in this picture we talked about last time was my winch, my frivolous winch that I might use once in a lifetime, but I'll be happy that I had it if I ever need it. Of course, I would have liked to had a Warn, but I can't justify spending $700+ on a Warn winch just for aesthetics. And aesthetically, I'm really happy with this Smitty built. It was only $100 or so more than the Harbor Freight one, and everybody knows a Harbor Freight winch when they see it. So this is just kind of striking a balance. Anyway, the other thing to note is I don't have any radiators anymore. So if you remember, I was having some problems with my inverter temperatures rising too much, insufficient cooling. I had two transmission coolers. They were running series. Each of those coolers has about 12 laps, 12 runs of half-inch tubing going through it. So you take that's 24 of them, and then you add that to all the other half-inch pipe and tubing and everything that I had, and I just wasn't getting enough flow through either the radiators or through the inverter or both or whatever. So then the plan was to put those radiators in parallel and then see what happens. And I did that. Went out for a test drive, gave one of my neighbors a ride in it, and she got the big old fat Evie grin when I put my foot down on it, and she was not expecting that. We just kind of did some fishtails up and down the gravel road, and that was pretty neat. So kind of made my day to see her get such a kick out of that. Anyway, it didn't work. I tried to drive into town and it still didn't work. The inverter was getting too hot. The inverter PCB was getting really hot, and it gives a temperature differential code, and eventually it'll shut down the inverter. I didn't get things that hot where it shut everything down, but it didn't work. I ordered a coolant vacuum filler. So you pull a vacuum on your entire coolant system, and then once the vacuum's been pulled, then you open the valve and the coolant flows in, and it effectively fills in any air gaps, so you can't have any air bubbles in the whole system. And that's going to come next week. But I'm over it. I'm done with it. Like, the half-inch tubing isn't enough. The two transmission coolers aren't enough. It's just not going to work. So I took the radiators out. I took all my half-inch tubing and aluminum tubing there, and half-inch braided hose and all that. I just took it all out, and I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it like I should have done it in the first place. So one of the takeaways of this build is, you get gut feelings during a build that you should do something one way, but for whatever reason you try and do it the other way. Just go with your gut. I mean, you really can't go wrong. That's what I found out. And this is, the third or fourth time on this build that I've gone back on something that I did where I should have done it right the first time. But nevertheless, that's what I did. So I pulled all that stuff out, or my buddy Greg Coles out of Celica Engineering, or Celica, whatever it is. He's out of Atlanta. He's got a EV conversion shop. Really cool dude. Check him out on Instagram and YouTube. Greg Goes Electric is his thing. Really super nice guy. Anyway, talked to him on the phone, and he said for his projects he just runs a Honda Civic radiator, and he's got a Tesla conversion. He did an F450 pickup truck where he runs it on that, and it runs just fine. I got the original Jeep radiator right here, and I thought, why not just use that thing? But it's just too wide. It's too wide and it's too tall. Of course, it fit originally in the Jeep, but I've got kind of a real estate problem here. I just can't get it all in there. It's too tall that I can't slide it back into the grill there. And the top radiator hose up on the passenger side, it's only maybe a half-inch away from that battery box. Like, it fits. It does fit, but I just can't do anything with it from there. So Greg said that he uses a Honda Civic radiator, and it's been more than enough for him. So I went on first I went on Summit, and I was like, how much is a radiator for the dimensions that I need? And they were like $200-300, and I was ready to write the check. But then I went ahead and searched the internets for a Honda Civic, and it turns out you can get a 3-core all aluminum Honda race spec radiator off of Amazon for like $90. And okay, so that should do it, and that'll give me a whole lot more volume of coolant, and the radiator itself will be a whole lot better at displacing that heat, much better than transmission coolers. So that. And then I'm going to upgrade all of the coolant lines to 3/4 inch, And I'm even going to upgrade the pump. I've got a Pureberg pump, which is the same. It's the exact same thing as what Tesla uses, but I'm going to upgrade this pump to that. And I'm just going to fix a whole bunch of things. And if in the end the fix fixes it, then I don't really care which one of those things that I upgraded did it. So we're going to drive underneath the Jeep for a little while. I tell you what, if I ever drop a bolt or lose my 13mm socket, all I need to do is crawl around on a dang creeper for about 2 minutes, and I will run over it. These stinking wheels catch on everything. It's so annoying. Anyway, so back here, this is, there you go. That's the Pureberg pump I was talking about. It's basically the same as a Tesla pump. So the outlet here on the right is the inlet. So that's going to come directly from the bottom outlet on the radiator, and so that pump's going to pump water directly out of the bottom of the radiator around that tube and into the back of the into the back of the drive unit. So if this is upside down, I think this is going to be upside down. I don't know. I'm kind of upside down. If this is upside down, I'm sorry. But anyway, so that's going to be, and then it'll come out the front and then just go to the top, go to the upper radiator inlet, and then I'll have like a T coming off of that going into my catch can. I'm going to keep that on there. I don't think I'm actually going to need it anymore, but for the sake of symmetry, I'm going to keep it there. So that's how that works. Another thing that I did with the pump that I removed that was originally circulating the coolant for the drive unit, I put that pump back here. Now these are the coolant lines that are for my battery coolant. Now it had a problem. I just had one of these single pumps up in front, and it would circulate coolant really well through the front battery box, but by the time it got back here and they needed to go around that way and then up to the battery box that's where the back seat was, there just wasn't enough volume of liquid. There wasn't enough volume or pressure or both, and it wasn't circulating through there very well. Now I don't really think I'm ever going to need battery cooling on this. From the little driving that I've done on this, I determined that it only uses about 15, maybe 20 kilowatts to just cruise along at 55, 60 miles an hour. Now, that's a lot. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot for an electric car, but it's not a big drain on the batteries, and the batteries I don't think are going to get that hot. Now you do need cooling, and in fact you need active cooling. You need an air conditioning unit in the line on a Tesla, because they supercharge, and they'll supercharge at 250, 300 amps for 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Whenever you're putting that kind of current through this stuff for that length of time, that's when heat starts to build up. You end up with I²R losses. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, check that out. But that's where your heat buildup happens, and it mostly happens in conductors more so than in the battery cells themselves. But anyway, I'm never going to be supercharging this ever. I doubt that I'll ever even fast charge it, DC fast charge it, at 90 or even 100 kilowatts. So my little 3.6 kilowatt Brusa charger is never going to get them warm at all. And then, driving an average of 15 kilowatts, driving down the road, it's not going to get them hot either. But hey, if it does, I can always throw in one of those transmission coolers, but I can put it underneath here with a fan on it. So I don't think it's gonna be a problem. But anywho, so I got two of them now, so there's much better coolant circulation going through the whole system, and yeah, that just makes me happy. That's something I wanted to do, and it's just one of those things where at the beginning I knew I should have done it, but for whatever reason I didn't. So I'm taking my own advice by just doing it now before I need it, because it's a stupid experiment. Well, was I just going to wait until the back batteries got too hot and overheated and caused my BMS to throw a code, or worse? Who knows? So that's just a stupid experiment. So just do it now. And if I never need it, I'll never know, and I don't care. So that's that. What else? I think that's about it for now. And yeah. Otherwise, everything is going great here, and I'm really looking forward to getting all these parts from Amazon, hopefully next week, I guess, and get that all together. Have to fabricate some mounts for the radiator in the front, and yeah, run on my 3/4 line and try it out and see what happens. So I think this is going to be the ticket, and I'm hopeful and happy. And yeah, that's it for now. So we'll see you next time. Goodbye.